Funniest part about this is this piece flipped over is the piece out of this guard from 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So apparently I don't throw anything out. So. And here is another one of my Kiwis. So this is my bit of a toy, this one. At the moment, I'm just going through and fixing some rust and stuff up on it that has just popped up over the years, and the lack of care that I've given the thing, unfortunately. This car was sort of affectionately, I'd nicknamed the Silent Assassin, and it used to have a LS1 with a Garrett GT42R turbo on it, and was running a T56. I built my own turbo kit and all the rest of the stuff at home here in the shed, and then I changed it to a 4L80 auto, and then I have just recently ditched the LS1, and we now have an iron block 5.3 litre. So this is a stock bottom end effectively. It's all been pulled apart, given a fresh hone, gapped all the rings, cleaned everything up. It's got a pretty nasty crow cam in it. Got some beehive springs in some 241 LS1 heads, and LS6 intake, 1000cc Bosch ID injectors. It runs a Walbro in a VS Commodore tank with an external surge and an 044 type Raceworks pump. Now this previous setup with a completely stock LS1, unopened, no valve springs, no nothing, just injectors and 9.8 pounder boost, made 521 on a very safe tune. And obviously now with the 5.3 iron block, we're going to go for a bit more power here. We're going to probably go somewhere between 18 and 25 pound. The turbo is good for, somewhere around about 1,000 horsepower worth of airflow. So if we max that out, you're probably looking somewhere around about 880 at the treads if all goes well. It does run a 9-inch. It's got a 31 spine, 3.7, true track center, Daytona pinion support. It's got a full chrome moly 3.5-inch tail shaft, chrome moly yoke, all that sort of stuff in it as well. The car itself is originally a vacationer, but obviously supporting GTS mock-up with GTS flutes, white stripes, all that sort of stuff. It's got GTS style trim inside. It is absolutely and utterly filthy, this car. The seats are supposed to be white. They look disgusting at the moment, so they need a good detail and a clean. But it's just a backyard car all built at home. I've got everything apart at the moment while I'm setting up for the new setup and fixing the paint. We've got a V&M shifter and a standard console. We've got a race pack dash in a custom fascia that a very good mate knocked up for me. And we're also going to go for the E-Boost 40 now with a 4-port Mac valve to control the boost now. Whereas previously I was just running a dirty old Chinese T-piece. The turbo setup consists of a set of LSA headers just flipped, and then the one for the driver's side. We've cut the bottom flange off, turned it and pointed it. Now it does all look rough as guts, but it works rather well. So crossover pipe just runs underneath. It's all 2.5-inch, and then comes up into the T6 divided Garrett GT42 to a 4202R, and we've got a Turbo Smart ProGate 50. Have a Turbo Smart Raceport bivalve valve. Turbo Smart fuel pressure reg, just running on standard rails as well. Runs a standard LS1 throttle body, standard LS1 coils, standard LS1 harness with the adaptation that I modified the manual harness into an auto harness, standard LS1 PCM, and all tuned myself and a mate of mine, tuned on on EFI Live. So you will see this car on the dyno hopefully very, very soon, and see if we can sort of roll out some numbers. Now, I think my Silent Assassin tag is probably no longer going to exist. It's with the cam and all the rest of the stuff, I think it's probably going to be a bit rowdy, especially the fact that it's a 4-inch exhaust, just with a cat, no muffler, all the way to the diff at the moment. Give you a bit of a look underneath the back here. You can see my surge tank, which was just mounted underneath the car. VS Commodore tank, just modified with a HQ filler, and yeah, 9-inch diff. See the molly tail shaft and everything there as well. Look, at the end of the day, this car's nothing really special. Bit of tongue-in-cheek on the number plates there with the stock 253. But just what I call a very cheap car with a lot of expensive parts on it. New nose cone at the moment, which is all bare metal. The previous nose cone, which is now a bit of shed art, just didn't gap up right. Had a bit of a twist in it in between the passenger headlight and the grille, and just never really sat right on the car. I was never happy with the gaps in it. I tried pulling it and getting it right, but it was much harder than it was to just prep up another nose cone. So we got another nose cone there. Was a commercial one, so I've had to weld some holes up in it. All the badge holes, things like that, indicator holes, all been welded up. And I've started a bit of hammer and dolly work on it, just to get it nice and straight for minimal filler. And that will go on the car. I've also replaced the radiator support panel as well. The previous radiator support panel was a bit rusty. Now I just run a copper HQ radiator. I've got a 50mm trans cooler and some unknown brand intercooler. Stock 253 plates there again. A little bit more shed art. That nose cone wasn't real flash, so I didn't use that one. But yeah, just a little bit more to show you of what's going to be coming up on the channel. Rightio, thought I'd just do a little bit of work on the purple HQ today, and I'm just going to take a bit of a look at the turbo manifolds, well, mainly the crossover pipe actually. It was thrown together very quickly, and as stuff has progressed along the way, I'm sort of now starting to run into a couple of little clearance issues, so I'm thinking about potentially redesigning the crossover to go take a little bit of a different path to gain some clearance back, so then I can push my radiator back a little bit, then in turn push the transcooler and intercooler back towards the motor, just to gain a little bit of breathing room at the front. It's all a bit tight. So bear with me while I do this. You know what, after a close inspection, I think I might just scrap the idea, and we might just clearance the thermofan shroud. That might be a lot simpler. I'll give these pipes a bit of clean up, and I'm going to get a price on getting them HPC coated so it looks a lot tidier, because I want to get this engine bay looking actually tidy for once. Now I've also got to do a bit of sheeting around the turbo, so I'm just going to try and mock up the drain hose so I can get a bit of an idea of what sort of clearance I require, and then we'll go from there. Funniest part about this is this piece flipped over is the piece out of this guard from 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So apparently I don't throw anything out. So I found the piece, flipped it around, a little bit of trimming, a little bit of banging into shape. Now we're starting to form a bit of a weld, which is clear of the tyre. That's going to form our seal engine bay below the turbo, where it's previously just been open with the elements. So we'll continue on here, a little bit of more cutting, welding, shaping, and hopefully we can knock this inner guard out and make it look something fairly respectable. So I'll continue on. Rightio, I've got to finish the bottom of this guard off. I've already done a bit of welding and tacking on this previously before starting to record all this, but need to keep going. Now, one thing I found when you're welding sheet metal is that it's never neat. It doesn't matter. If you do a neat weld, you've probably buckled everything anyway. It's always something that you're going to have to grind. I'm no professional, trust me. I do crap welds anyway. I can do good stuff on thick stuff, but sheet metal, it's always going to look nasty. Got to take your time, keep it cool. And of course, make sure your earth is good, because right now, not good. desired finish. Now it might look like I'm putting too much heat into it at the moment, but there's actually a slight wave here, and by putting a little bit of heat and pulling this in, it's pulling this out, it's actually straightening it up. So there's a little bit of method in my madness, and just because you're welding sheet metal and it's so cold, and as you can see it blows out very easy when you've been grinding on it, that's why the welds are standing up, they're not laying in flat, which you would do if you had a higher temp and a thicker piece of steel you were working with. So just the main thing, keep it cool. You'll probably notice I was waving the grinder over it before. There's quite a lot of air that comes out of the grinder. There's a fan and stuff inside here to keep the motor cool. That fan blowing air across there helps keep it cool. You can use an air line. That's not going to turn the compressor on. Simple as that. Now that the bottom of the guard's in the right place, I can do the front of the guard. Thanks for watching tonight, and we'll come back tomorrow night and continue on with this and see how far we get with it. Hopefully I'm not boring you too much, and enjoying Busted and Rusted. Please like, subscribe, the usual things. It'll help me a great deal. Thanks guys.